Good morning, everybody. Hey, come on in. Come on in. Come on in. Come get some of this good stuff. Like I tell you all the time, come get some of this good stuff. Because today, we got one that's over the top. So come on. I know y'all always fuss at me because you say I talk too fast and I start too fast. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes here to get on, get your friends on, get your family on, get your colleagues on. Because we got some fire today. And yes, I'm setting that expectation up because I know that's what it's going to be. So we're going to wait maybe a minute or two to give y'all a little bit more time. Share, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you're on YouTube, subscribe. If you're on Facebook, like and share. If you're on Twitter, give us a thumbs up. We're not on Instagram yet because they don't allow the APIs to come over. So y'all email in to Instagram. They tell them to get their shit together because we need to be everywhere. So got a very special guest, very prestigious young brother, and a good friend of mine also, which is the most important part. So we'll get to that here in a second, but let me make sure all my tech stuff is good. Da, 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 da. All right, for all the lay people, let's get to it. So welcome again to the Bigger Than Money podcast. I'm your host and the host with the most, as the old folks say, Norris Williams. We try to bring you so much financial education that it forces you to take control of your finances. And today, in a lot of places in the United States, it's stimulus day. So I thought that we got a special guest to bring on today. And I had a couple of I'm not going to say that, but I got a very special guest to come on today. And we're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, actually. But I think right now, coming out of this coronavirus, we're not out of the woods yet. I'm not saying that. But as we're evolving or trying to come back to whatever the new normal might be, your finances is going to be the most important thing, because I believe coming out of this, they're going to people that are going to succeed, and they're going to people who are going to double back and fail even more. But we want to give you the tools. I want to bring people to you that I know are great at what they do and have a sincere goal to help people. So today is my good friend. I'm going to go through all his accolades here in a second, but he is just a gentleman and a scholar. He's my good friend, Dr. Preston Cherry. I'm going to say that informally right now. I get through here formally in a second. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Brother Norris. It's been a minute. Man, glad to see you doing your thing, and thank you for the invitation. Glad to be breaking bread with you on your podcast.
And ladies and gentlemen, we decided that since he's a friend of mine, even though first of all, look at all the plaques on his wall back there. And guess what? Those are not all of them. So with that being said, I want to make sure that we have both agreed that we're going to bring extreme value. We're not here to do a pitch fest. We're not here to really sell you anything. We both have a sincere desire through our background and through our education and through our experience to really help people. And I don't mean help people as far as just do something charity-wise, but to really change the trajectory of your life. That's really why we do what we've done. That's why we spent so much time in school. That's why we went through the trials and tribulations. That's why we've done everything that we've done, because we believe that we've been gifted with things that can really help people and really help people go to the next level. Now, some will and some won't. But for those that will, I want you to lean in right now and listen to what we're about to talk about. But Dr. Cherry, like I said before, is a good friend of mine. He's a professor at the University of Wisconsin-Green Bay. He's accomplished so much. He owns his own financial planning firm. Why is that important? That's important because I was a financial advisor for 10 years. I'm not going to say I was one of the top tier or whatever, but I did very well financially at what I did. But for you to be able to just jump out there and start your own financial planning firm, and here's the difference, and the one thing I know about his firm. See, and this is for the people who don't know how financial planning firms work. You make money by commissions when you're pushing products. So basically, you're a product salesperson, or you just charge for your advice, which is called an RIA. He's put a lot more emphasis into just charging for his advice as a consultant. So he's not really beholden to any one company over the other. He's not really looking at, okay, if I sell this, because in our industry, you can provide the same solution with two different products, but one may not be as suitable as the other. But if I knew I'm going to make 3 times the commission, you don't know the difference. I know the difference. So I'll give you this one instead of doing what's really right for you. And that happens a whole lot in our industry. So when he told me he was going to a traditional, more consultant route, I was like, this guy really cares about who he is. I'm going to go to our backstory and things of that nature. But everybody, welcome Dr. Preston Cherry. That just sounds good saying that. The first time I said that publicly. Dr. Preston, welcome to the show, my brother.
Well, appreciate that. People ask me why I pursue the PhD in personal financial planning. I said, you know what? I just simply wanted a license plate that was cool. that was about it. No, it was several more reasons than that, but the license plate was cool. But
absolutely. Well, we're going to get right into it, my brother, because the first thing I'm going to talk a little bit about. You just said PhD in financial planning. I know that there are not a lot of schools that offer a PhD in financial planning. So when you're sitting thinking, as far as your professional career is concerned, what made you want to get a terminal degree in a field that not many people really understand, and there are not many programs offered on it in the first place? What made you go that direction?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, it was just pursuing a dream. We're going to talk about a lot today, Norris. We're going to talk about life aspirations. We go way back. So
way back.
we know when you and I were in Starbucks cafes and chopping it up and writing our life's aspirations down and what we were going to do about it, those type of things. And, I've done several things in my career. And in 2016, I kind of just had like a transition point. I just wanted to see what I wanted to do next. I wanted to dream up and see, what that was or what that is, without fear or restraint. Truly, and truly feel that and have the courage, right, to say, okay, what do you want to do, Preston, right? And then one of those things was I've always wanted a PhD. I always wanted. Then on top of that, it's in a subject that I like. There's a research aspect to it. So a lot of people don't know. I've always been kind of a nerd in that aspect. Just investigating. But that's much more about reading. You don't need a terminal degree for that. It's more about just investigating things and digging deeper. And so I was curious about that aspect, the research aspect. I was curious about what other doors that this terminal degree and this doctoral degree could take me, and open, right? Opportunities, elevate, use it for marketing, partner, using it as something that as thought leadership and expertise in this area that I can share on many platforms through the business, through school, the financial planning program that I have at UWGB. That's been well supported by the College of Business there and the University Administration and the like. And so, yes, using that to do all of this, and we'll talk about it, but it's about impact. It's about impacting oneself, maximizing oneself, which is a gift from God, for believers. If you have gifts and you're not a believer, that's fine too. Just maximize yourself. Just have simply that opportunity to do such a thing every morning. Some people don't. Right. And we owe it for those that do. All right. Owes it to oneself, owes it to our spirit, owes it to the world that we at least maximize ourselves every day. You don't have to be, be great every day. No, maximize yourself. That's maximize the opportunity. So when you say, ask me about pursuing the doctoral degree, it's all that.
Gotcha. And you lead right into one of the points I make all the time, because since we're talking about investing, I always say the greatest investment you can make is in yourself first, because I believe if you invest in yourself first and then maximize who you are, it's got to pour out into other people. And if I show up to a meeting, if you're around me, if I maximize myself, I become magnetic. You want to then turn around and dang, there's something about that, and then you want to start doing something within yourself to be like, damn, I want to have that glow, I want to have that excitement, I want to have that passion that he or she or it has, and I think it becomes contagious after a while. So in my younger days as an advisor, I didn't really know about truly investing in myself, but I think that in any discipline, the first thing you got to do is invest in yourself. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that totally, and invest in yourself in a way that you wouldn't just you want to do this thing, right? Yes, sir. It is about the journey. It is about the journey. I share with people all the time. There's not too many reward or award days in life. Right? There's not too many. Those days where you actually get the degree in hand, or you buy that first house, or your wedding day, or your first, second, third child, whatever it may be, right? Or you win at some championship or whatever, those are the reward and award days. Okay. Those are great. You get a new job, buy a new car, whatever that reward day is. All right. Let's say you have 365 of those. All right. In a lifespan.
Wow.
That's 1 year. Let's say you have those. What about the other, 70, 60, 70, 80 years?
Mm,
What about the rest of the time?
I agree.
So that's the process. One thing when I was pursuing many things in life, even even failure, although I didn't know I was pursuing failure until I was
Right.
there.
Absolutely.
But I put the work in on that too as
Yes,
several
sir.
times in life.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
But so I just transferred that energy and said, let me go to another route.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, it is about the journey. But what does that every day look like? Some days they're not just putting 2 feet on the ground and doing those small things,
Mm-hmm.
right? And appreciating that. During I'll just narrow it here to the doctoral studies, the relationships, Norris.
Mm.
The relationships were fabulous. People I just met that were housed there from all over the globe, different cultures, different stories, different backgrounds, and we all sat in the same room and were pursuing the same thing.
Mm.
And those days to where you grinded it out for 8 or 9 hours. I'm a believer in sleep. I don't believe in working 24/7. That's a myth. You don't need to do that. But
Facts.
but those days to where you were into something, your whole spirit, your whole body, your whole existence was in that thing. Just it was a research project for me. See, those are the days I remember. And the ceremony itself, it was just one day.
Yes, yes, sir.
So that's the thing
Absolutely.
about investing in yourself. Enjoy the process, then the journey.
And you led right into my next question. We talk about the process. We talk about the journey. I want to go all the way back to little Preston. Now, as a little boy, was there anything that happened in your life, or were there any interest that you had early in your life that made you think that you might be where you are now?
Well, that's a great question too, because those are the type of questions that I ask, and pretty and good planners, good financial planners ask as well. Is they're termed money scripts is one of the labels for it. Is your early beliefs in money, current beliefs in money, what's your relationship with money, and let's
Right.
unpack that and see what type of silos that you tend to fall into or resonate most with, and then see about what are those themes. Are they barriers to what you want to advance to
Mm-hmm.
with your life money balance journey? I'll tell you about that in a minute, what that means. And then what are the strengths of some of those money scripts, and so we can elevate those, so we can raise the probability that you're going to achieve your goals, right? But with that, I didn't know at a young age that I would be here, and I didn't even know financial planning was a thing, to be honest with you. you
Right.
know I didn't know that until my undergrad at Prairie View A&M, PVAMU. So and I had a mentor tell me about this field. Okay, however,
Mm-hmm.
money experiences, but I always knew I wanted to be successful, not just successful in the cliche sense of the word. I just wanted to be the best that I could be. I realized that I had some gifts, and I just wanted to be well at them,
Right.
basically, right? So, but I was exposed to money. We all are exposed to money at some sort of way. All
Yes,
right.
sir.
And a part of the financial planning process, for those that do it well, is to ask about these. So, great question is to ask about these relationships with money, and those are the things that bring you up to this point.
Mm.
And I remember, for our family, I wasn't raised poor or anything. We were a middle class family out in Northwest Houston. We had some great access to schools, and then another A word, right? Access to good schools.
Right.
Parents made a conscious decision to move us in a good school district so we can have access to that, and also, but there wasn't any transference of quote unquote wealth. And what I'm saying here
Mm.
is not inherent. It's not about massive amounts of dollars or whatnot, but just simple things like down payments on a home coming from somewhere,
Right.
right? or transfer this. So yeah, we middle class family working. We weren't poor. We had access to schools, this, that, and the other. But we were always reacting and recovering to money.
Good point.
Reacting and recovering to money. So there was no momentum, there, and because and many households go through this, even ones that have pretty decent income like our household. If there was 1 or 2 or 3 events that happened back to back to back, you were recovering. Yeah, you had to react. You had to bob and weave. Or as my dad say, roll and adapt. Roll and adapt. And those are good lessons though, because when you get into life, then you learn how to survive and bob and weave and get into your lane. But but also we not only were we reacting, because we were introduced to money concepts. I'll give you an example. So there was we had this bank ledger, old school bank ledger. It was a book. It had lines in it and everything. And my parents were trying to teach me and my sister the concept of 401ks or a retirement plan. Is like, okay, or just saving in general. Sure. He's like, if you save a little bit of your allowance, $10, $15, pay yourself, right? Then we'll match it with some money and we'll put it in this little ledger book and we'll journal it. Journal, that's old school right there, right?
Yes, sir.
And we'll journal it in there, right? And so there's many stories like that, but now that I think back with your question, and then when I talk to my clients and students and whatnot, those are the things that I share. There's many of those stories, so that's where it kind of originated. Now that I think back, but at that particular time, I didn't say, okay, yeah, I want to be a financial planner. I didn't know it was a thing. But now with the culmination of all those stories, Norris, those experiences, right? Those exposures to money situations and what we would like to do better. Okay. When I did find out about it, which is awareness, this is what I give to the students and even whomever wants to join this profession, or even clients or set access already, right? Awareness. Yes, once I was made aware by a mentor, I was like, yeah, okay, bet. Sign me up for that.
And I like awareness too, because I think from our talk today, the people who are watching this, their eyes will be opened to a lot of different ideas and things of that nature. But I want to tap into something you said earlier, because as a kid, we all have those sayings that our parents would say that will inform who we are when we become adults. And I like the way that you couched that, because I remember hearing, make sure you save for a rainy day. Now, if I keep telling myself to save for a rainy day, I'm investing in the idea of eventually having a rainy day. Is the way I look at that. And I'm like, and it's not that it doesn't happen, but I think a lot of times we're not adequately prepared for like those life events that you were talking about earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a fantastic point, because you don't want to be too alarmist. That said, uncertainty is certain. Period.
Ooh, I like that.
Uncertainty is certain.
Wow.
Gonna happen. So we don't have to be looking for it. Like somebody asked me how I was doing the other day, and I said, I'm doing all right. And I quickly changed it. I said, no, I'm doing great. Thank you. I appreciate you asking, because that day and yesterday and today, right now, as far as where I am in life, I'm doing good. And the reason why I say that is to live in this present moment, as to not, anticipate a shooter drop, so to speak.
Yes.
Because there's going to be time for that. There is absolutely time for that. It's going to, uncertainty is certain. Things are going to happen in life. Life is not linear. All right. So when those things happen, then those emotions and energy and all that, you're going to need that to deal with those times of life.
Yeah. And my old man used to say, it's not what happens to you, it's how you react to what happens to you. So there are a lot of situations that happen to a lot of people, and some people, it just takes them out. Other people are like, okay, this is a challenge. This is how I'm going to handle it. Let's go get it in the same exact situation. So I like the way you said that. So,
but uncertainty is certain. So yes, save for that. So we're able to, and this leads me into the segue about kind of a philosophy, well, not kind of a philosophy of the firm, in my personal and business philosophy, which is life, money, balance. Life, money, balance. Let your life lead your money, not your money lead your life.
Preach.
And
Hey, Reverend. I didn't know you were a reverend too. Okay, praise God.
Reverend Doctor, yeah.
Yeah, right. I told you, I'm a student too. On when I interview people, I learn from them too. And you're saying some good stuff, and I'm hoping everybody is taking away from what you're giving.
Well, Norris, once you're, and these are not judgments, by the way, these are aspirations, because it's a process. You start where you are, and if your aspirations is say, listen, I don't want to react to money all the time. I don't want my money leading me. I'd like for my life to lead my money, and you make the decision and say, okay, I'd like to have that 3 to 6 month emergency fund. I like to call it an event readiness fund. Get ready. If you get ready, you never have to. If you stay ready, you never have to get ready, right? Then just start right here. If there's some negativity or shame or regret or all that, that's good to have and acknowledge those feelings so you can process those, and then you can get to the next thing. Okay, but yeah. Start where you are, aspire to have some of those, at the ready funds, so you can deal with the uncertainty of certain things, right? And then now your life is leading your money, because now you're uninterrupted, so to speak. You have something to fill that gap, while that uncertainty is happening, or that unexpected event or something. Now you don't necessarily have to react immediately to that. You can just go ahead, handle that. Mm-hmm. and keep your momentum. Now we're talking about compounding momentum.
I like the idea of that. Let's park and dig into this a little bit, because what I'm pulling out of that is I would let me not even conjecture. How do you think emotion plays into the whole financial planning realm? You think it throws people off whack sometimes? Do people use emotion too much? Money control their emotions too much? How does emotion factor into the whole financial process?
Emotion is a big part of it, Norris, a big part of it. Emotion, behavior, decision making, relationships with money. To go back to your leading question, which is your earliest memories. What are your middle memories? What are your current memories? What are those? What do those look like? There's actually money exercises that I walk my clients through that. I have a money psychology meeting built into my process for my clients. Where when we first meet and greet, that's 30 minutes, see if we're a good fit, and then you decide what you want to do as far as going to our next meeting, discovery process. Then it's like, okay, yes, I want to engage your services, this, that, and the other. All right, now we're starting with, after getting all these documents, this, that, and the other. Okay, now let's start with let's get your, where's your mind? One of my mentors, even my dad, my grandfather, this came from everything, and that pretty much everybody's heard this, but I had one person that used to tell me this in Tennessee all the time: get your mind right. He's like, yeah, get your mind right, right? And so this is just analyzing where we are emotionally, behaviorally, relationally, all this, in order to gauge where, then we can get to the numbers, because now we're investigating life. We're investigating who we are. We're investigating those emotions, so we can process those. Okay. So emotion is, I have a piece of my blog that is going to get elevated, which is be your money. Be your money, with capital BE, your money, which is behavior and emotion. Be your money. Writing about these type of things, and it's a big part of it. So once we get past our ah moment, so to speak, there's many translations of what an ah moment is, and for this process, I call this the AAA. So it's 3 A's, the ah moment, which is for as emotion. This is very important. So I'm glad you brought this up, which is admitting where we are. And we're isolating this to money situations, money and life situations. Admitting where we are, we have to admit where we are. If there is no admission where we are, and it doesn't all have to be negative, Norris, too, because some people, hey, look, you got an abundance of resources or money and all this type of stuff. You just simply, where do I put it? What do I do? It's who do I give to? How do I structure it? Whatever, or simply just not having a vision of what's next. Some people just have issues about transitioning to the next life cycle stage, or going back to what I said, which is, okay, what do I want to do next? What do I want to do freely? So I can enjoy that process. So money doesn't always have to be negative, but that's still admitting where you are. It's I'm stuck. I want to transition. So this is where I am. So admitting and then acknowledging those emotions about your money situation. You know, is it shame? Is it regret? Is
Mm.
it or is it something that you wish you would have done better? I mean, obviously that's regret, but having those feelings, vulnerability, all these things,
Ooh.
right? All right. So well, let's acknowledge those. Are we
Right.
happy? Are we sad? In this, in the macro element of it, what are we feeling? Because we have to
Hmm.
acknowledge that it's okay.
Right.
It's okay to, and then process those. And then once we process those and say, okay, this is where I'm at. All right, now it's time to either forgive oneself, put that down as my daddy used to say, my mom used to say, or they're still alive, but they used to tell me when I was a kid, and you still do as I'm a grown adult. You got to put that down.
Right.
Lay that down. Forgive oneself. Then now we've had to admit, we have to acknowledge. Now we get to take the what?
Action.
Yeah, yes, yes.
I was
Now,
ready for that one.
all day, all day. Well, you know what? Can't do the action unless we've done the other two. Can't do it. What Bart Scott say? He said, "Can't wait."
That's it. That's it.
Can't wait. Or I think Michael Singletary one time he was at can't coach with him, can't play with him. He said, "Can't do it, can't do it." But you can't take action unless you get them other two set. So emotion is a big part of it. Britt, coming back to your point.
Yeah, and the reason why, and you led right into it, because I see that, like when I was an acting advisor, I would see it's not that people didn't have the money, they just spent the money the wrong way. And a lot of it goes into what you're just talking about: feelings of shame, feelings of guilt, feelings of vulnerability. So they would spend the money so as not to feel that way. So they would have to go buy the purse that they didn't need, or the car that they didn't need, to put on a certain appearance, because they didn't want to reveal to the world, this is where I really am. So let me let me incorrectly spend this money over here so that I look a certain way, but I know that financially I'm really not there. Do you run into that? Do you run into that a lot in your practice?
Yeah, that's self-worth equals net worth, right? Self-worth equals net worth, and that's a money script as well. That said, listen, money is two S's. Okay, everybody likes to promote the savings part of it. All right, but there is spending too.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
It's all right. It's okay. Too. That's like my boy Randy Jackson on American Idol. He was like, yo dog. It was all right. It was all right.
That's him.
Right. But it's all right to spend. It's about how you spend and when you spend.
Right.
So it's okay. It's okay. But if it's not healthy spending, right? If it's in substitute of something, as you mentioned, right? For projecting or whatnot, all right, then that's an issue. We need to address that, right? Then we're talking about self-worth. It's like, okay, now we're going back to what you had mentioned as well. It's like, okay, let's unpack that. Let's pause for a moment and unpack that. Tell me more about how you got here, about buying these things in order to project an image. Is that who you are? What are you trying to say with that, and how does that make you feel? That time, and just sit back and pause with that and let them talk. Let people talk that out. It's like, okay, maybe they may never been asked, or they never wanted to maybe talk about it, or been waiting to get asked, which is more likely.
Sure.
They want to share, right? So it's how you spend, your beliefs in your spending. If it's being detrimental to where your life aspirations want to go, if there's a disconnect, meaning they're not running concurrently, that's where I got the firm name from.
Ding, 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 ding.
Right? Your life and your money have to run concurrently. They have to run in partnership, because if they do like this, then they're going in different directions. You see, so that's where that all comes into play.
Awesome. I like the sound of that. Now let's get to the hot stuff. Let's the last few days we finally got some action, and Congress signed, House signed, and finally President Biden signed. So now stimulus checks are going out. Stimulus checks. Yeah, let me pronounce that correct. Stimulus checks are going out, and everybody's excited about it because it's an injection. It's money. So I want you to tell the people who, and let's start at a very basic level. They're getting $1,400. Okay. Some people think that's a lot of money. Some people may not think that's a lot of money. One way or the other, what's the very first step they should take once that direct deposit hits?
Take a breath. Breathe for a second, right? Mm-hmm. And really not, it's a process. It's like, okay, that hit, you may have a sigh of relief. Okay. All right, take that breath. And then like my daddy say, see what you're working with. And that's for everyone. It doesn't matter if you're either low, mid, high income, doesn't matter. All right. See what you're working with. See what your status. What gives you the most, worry, anxiety. What's part of your plan. Okay, if you're okay financially and whatnot, your rent's paid and all this, and you have all that. Okay, cool. Now it's like, okay, what do I want to do next? Like I said, money doesn't always have to be situational or anything. It could be aspirational as well. It's always aspirational. It's just where you are and where you're going. So. Take a breath, analyze where you are, see what needs to prioritize, see what needs to be dealt with first. Okay. Liquidity is important during uncertainty. All right. I received my first vaccination a couple of weeks ago, going to get that second one here in a couple of weeks. All right. Vaccinations are great. All right. But we still not out of what we don't know yet. It's looking promising. As far as where we're trending to go, far as some sort of, belief amongst the public that we're stable or whatnot. But that's going to flow that into the economy. We're talking about fourth quarter, first quarter of next year and whatnot. So we're talking about still having some liquidity and then addressing the immediate needs. So take a breath and analyze where you are. I think is the first thing. Here's a second thing too. Is that the stimulus package is comprehensive. Okay, there was an American Recovery Plan, I believe it is. It is comprehensive. Small businesses, okay. There's some funding for that for those the EIDL loans, the PPP funding. The oh my goodness, I would say another key word is aggregate. You're getting a stimulus, but that's not where the real money is. It's with the child tax credit. It's also with the earned income credit, depending on where your income levels are. Okay, you're talking about for as the child tax credit. You're getting a couple of grand, few grand in some cases per child. Okay, so aggregate that. There's also money for overdue renters and mortgage payments. So. You're applying for that through your banks and whatnot, or to the program directly, and see if you can get some assistance there. All right. Unemployment has been extended. Okay. To the $300 more $300 a week payments.
Right.
And then also, well, what's new in the bill is COBRA. So what this is, COBRA insurance is health insurance gap insurance. So if you have lost your job. In any, well, not any capacity, but in general, if you've lost your job, COBRA's been around for a very long time. What that does is, okay, it helps you fill the gap between one employer to the next. However, it's very expensive. However, now with the bill, that's going to be fully subsidized if you had a job loss due to COVID. So listen, there's something when I say aggregate, take a breath, analyze, prioritize, meet your needs. I said a lot there. I know we're going to unpack that, and then also see where other resources that you have in the bill and aggregate these together. And then we can see what we need to do next. Okay.
I think it'll be most useful. Let's do something like this because you and I both know in the planning profession, no one's situation is identical.
Correct.
So as far as the stimulus is concerned, I want to throw a couple of different scenarios at you and for you to kind of loosely tell them what you think they should do as far as the stimulus and where they should go next. You good? You game for that?
I'm game. I like a little game show. Sure. You're gonna be Jimmy Kimmel for us, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So Arsenio Hall.
Right, anyway. There we go.
I I want to say, let's take, you got a single mother who is, maybe she makes 25 to 30,000 a year, 2 kids, apartment, 2-bedroom apartment. She's kind of getting by, like, for example, even especially like, in Houston, we just had this freeze. So she may be still recuperating from that, but she doesn't really have a lot of extra money. Now we know her stimulus is going to be 4,200 because it's her and then the 2 kids. I believe that's how it works, right? So she gets her, this young lady gets, let's just say she's 30, 31, something like that. She gets her $4,200. Let's say, the light bill's still kind of behind, and I believe maybe she should pay her necessary stuff first. If you got to pay the light bill, you got to pay the water bill, got to pay the gas, all that kind of stuff. Let's get that out of the way. After she pays that, let's say she has $400 left, $4,000 left. What should she now do? Because her goal is to I eventually want to be financially stable, financially free. What's a good step she could take right now to start on that acceleration?
Yeah, good point. I mean, there was so much to unpack there. I mean, because those the children, they may have some activities that need to be invested in,
right?
Right. I mean, that's right off the top. I was just, as a family, we always contribute to my niece's efforts, right? And she just started playing volleyball. Right?
Oh wow, okay.
That's a real thing. We want to support our kids' efforts, and the pandemic has taken some of those funds away because we're shifting those towards necessity or back payments or just having a liquid fund. So we find a different job or deal with reduced income. All this, so it's affecting our children too.
Sure.
So some of that money may go to their efforts. That's number one. All right. Not just their needs, but uplifting them. Because the children they're going through this era. When I say children, for those young children, 8, 9, 10, early teenagers, okay, this is an effect. Some things have to be not done right now. All right. And that's across the incomes paradigm. So yeah. All right. So that's one thing. Again, going back to the uncertainty is not certainty. Some things it's just good to pause for a second and get you some momentum, right? There's so much here, right? So let's say this person is caught up. I mean, then it's like, okay, what's next? It's okay just to let that money sit there,
okay, in
cash. I mean, that way you're not having to file for something else, or that's fine. Get your unemployment if necessary, get child tax credit, this, that, and the other. So it's in the bank and sitting there. Sure. All right, that's cool. Just letting it sit there for a few more months. Some people like say, okay, it's opportunity cost. It's sitting in cash and not earning anything. Oh, well, there's buckets of money for certain things.
Right.
There's one thing to be, emotionally stable, where you're not worrying, stressing, and this, that, and the other. So you can go to work, right, and be productive and this, that, and the other. All right. And having those ready cash or those ready funds right there sitting out there, let that marinate for a minute. Right. So, yes, sir. So yeah. And some people say that's general. That's isn't that obvious, Captain Obvious? Okay. Well, sometimes that's not being done.
Right. That's a fact.
But that's just not being done. It's okay to live in the cash. We don't necessarily have to go put it at risk quite yet. Like, okay, well, do I go and invest in the stock market? Do I go buy real estate or this, that, and the other? That money, this money is not for that. Right. It's really not for that. If you're receiving some money, you're trying to regroup. Right. You're trying to regroup. And I know take a few months.
And I know that, one of the things that you teach and you tell your clients is they got to have a good foundation before we even go out and take risks. You got to have, you always talk about the 3 to 6 months of emergency fund. For someone like her, this could be the establishment of her emergency fund, so that when extra money comes in, now she could add on top of and build the next layer of the foundation.
Exactly. So what's next with that, right? Which is, and it's still, right, there's still some uncertainty. So you don't want to say, okay, well, all right, now I have this foundation. Let me immediately, although it's possible depending on the situation, all right, but maybe that gives that person the freedom to now participate in their retirement plan or where they work, right? Maybe they can react. Maybe they can reactivate those if they were already participating, okay? And if not, maybe that gives them a chance to do that, to start that now. Paying debt, okay? The credit. Oh, and again, there's a myth that it's just, the only people that have debt is, the poor or some sort of race box or whatever. No, it's countrywide. All right.
What's the fancy word? It's everywhere. Ubiquitous. It's ubiquitous.
Yeah, there you go. Right. So it applies ubiquitous. That's nice. It applies to everyone. So actually, credit scores are actually rising during the pandemic.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Because people are paying off debt. It's going to a safer place. When you have credit card debt at anywhere between 12 and 24%, which is the reality. Most cards are in between 14 and 24% now, then yes, it makes sense to take this opportunity as part of regrouping. It costs so much bad credit or carrying a whole bunch of debt, right? Which affects your credit score negatively. All right. That makes life so much more expensive in the wrong ways across the life cycle. So like paying more interest on a home, paying more interest on a car, paying more interest, all that cost of capital costs more. Trying to start a business, all that costs more, and it takes away money from immediate, mid, and particularly long-term funding goals on other things. It's a shift. It's a shift. So that's one way of investing in oneself. First of all, you're paying yourself 14, 15, 16, and 20% when you're paying off that debt. But you're also paying yourself across your life cycle because you're making everything else cheaper, and you're also elevating your opportunities that you can get. So debt payment is another one.
Okay, good deal. So second scenario, single, male or female, let's just say mid-30s, into their career well-funded, 401k, own a car or two, they already own a nice house, things of that nature. So they get their stimulus, because this is a lot of people that listen to my show now. And these are a lot of the inboxes I got before I even talk to you, because they're wondering, okay, I got a good job. I'm good on the 401k. I'm good on all the other, life insurance and the things of that nature. And they're wondering, okay, I'm getting this $1,400. What should I do with it?
Okay. Hey, sometimes if you have all that going on, all right, this is great. All right, what's that second S? Spend it. I mean, feel free. Feel free to go ahead and say, okay, I have all this freed up, the opportunity. I have this funded. I have my check boxes funded for this, these months and these periods, and everything's okay. All right, then either give it to someone in need, maybe a family member, okay. A charity you care about, if your church is actually going to use the money for church things, all right. All of that, right? So if you want somewhere to use it, give it away, and also go ahead and spend it. It is supposed to stimulate the economy, so money has to go back into the economy as well. So there's no problem with saying, okay, I was waiting for a little windfall to get something, and then that's fine as well. So spending is a part of it as well. Also too, maybe investing into what's next. I mean, maybe a hobby. I mean, my sister, she just recently started a crafting business, which is doing well actually.
Awesome.
She etches glassware, logos, things go on your coffee cup. Oh, she's got these fire blinged out water cups that are off the chain. I mean, they're a little expensive because they're timely the way they're doing, but they're highly customized. Sure. Anyway, Nora, she invested in equipment. She invested in equipment in order to start a business, which is thriving.
Nice. Okay. I like the idea of that.
Right. Right. Starting that LLC. Okay, that stuff costs money. Right. funding that bank account, right? All this other stuff. Maybe that gave you a little bit more room to do that, right? For those people that have that money, another thing to do is, again, what we just saw Coming to America too, right? Randy White, we are children, our future. Thank you very much, Randy White. Right. So place that into a Roth IRA for your young kids. Do you place that in a Roth IRA? Start funding that type of account. Roth IRA is a child can have a Roth IRA. They have earned income. You can through a business. You can make them a model of your literally. They can be a model or something like that. They have earned income, or you pay them for some administrative labor or whatnot. All right, and you filter that $1,400 into a Roth IRA, which is after tax contribution, tax deferred growth, and then later on down the line it comes out tax free. All right, it has 40 years to grow. All right, they can also use that for potentially a first time home purchase. 15 years from now, you got a child that's 14, 15 years old. All right, 15 years from now, if they keep, kind of contributing there, they may have that 20% down payment. $1,400 turns into a lot if you could keep investing in it over time. So
I'm gonna stop you right there because you just blew through that, but I want to make sure everybody know how important what you just said was. So we're gonna walk through it slowly, and you stop me when I'm wrong. You just said basically, I could if I could start a crafting, like we use your sister. I have a crafting business or whatever. I hire my child as a model. I hire my child. Listen to what I hire my child. A lot of us don't take advantage of. You can employ your children to be, like he said, something as simple as they model jewelry. So if you're putting pictures up on the internet, you can put their little wrist up with the bracelet, or they can model with whatever the glassware is, and they are officially employed by you. It's a job just like anything else. Now I can take the money I pay them, put it in a Roth IRA for the child. Now, as that compounds, and I'm assuming we still contribute every year to that same Roth IRA and watch it grow over time. It's tax deferred, which means every year the tax man can't touch that money. And also at the point you decide to exit it, it's tax free because it's after tax money. Now, is that a plan, people? Is that a plan? Did I say everything right, Mr. Dr. Cherry?
Yes, you did. And then, as far as distribution is concerned, on all IRAs, they're for retirement. That's what that R means. They're for retirement. So, you have to, when you make distributions, it's for a long term. It's after 59 and a half is all sort of thing. But in general, that's what it is. So you have to wait to access the money, but you can access what you put in. But sometimes there's tax and penalties if you do early. You can act for a Roth. You can always access your basis, which means the money that you put in. All right, not necessarily the growth. You can get that back tax free at any time. But yes, for the most part, yes, exactly what you said. It is a long play. It's about, when it all comes back to Norris, which is about time and compounding. All right, it's time in the market, not timing the market. Although we have a good friend that is very good at options trading and whatnot. And hey, listen, that's all fine and dandy once you have, and even he preaches. It's like, look, have all these check boxes done first, then come holler at me. Then we can start doing this.
That's all right.
So I have no problem putting money in Bitcoin and all this other stuff. If Bitcoin is an alternative, it has a small sleeve of portfolio. And then, as far as getting into, I want to start getting all the complex stuff. Okay, that's fine. Have all this stuff done first. But going back to the Roth IRA, all of it is just simply having the time. A child has, or a young teenager, they have time on their side.
Yes, sir.
They have time on their side, so they can invest smaller amounts of money, okay, because they have more time for it to compound.
Yes, sir.
When we start late, that's fine. Like I said, there's no shame in that. It's up because life happens, this, that, and the other. All doesn't matter. Start with where you are. All right. Mm-hmm. However, if you start later in life, then you have to save larger amounts of money because you have a shorter amount of time for it to compound. So for a teenager with $1,400 in their account, just simply leaving that in there for 40 years. All right, they got time for that to compound. But imagine putting an extra $500 a year every year into that or whatnot, just starting off small. And then they can take that Roth IRA, and then when they get their early job after they finish college and whatnot, they can start funding the IRA as well with their earnings. All right. And then again, compound return for the future because of time.
Didn't Albert Einstein say that's the greatest force in the universe? Compound
Oh
interest.
man, one of that, and interest is the kryptonite.
That's a fact.
you either earning it or paying it. And
Or
when I
paying
say
it.
or earning or paying it, and it's fine. It goes into return on investments, and that's fine. Interest is cool. You're gonna pay some of it at some point.
Yes, sir.
But don't let it run you.
Totally agree with that.
You run the interest, and sometimes that's going to a whole nother conversation about how to leverage interest and all that type of stuff. But you're either paying it or you're earning it, but when you do pay it, you just want to pay it in a responsible way, so it's not running you. And listen, and I remember we was chopping it up before the show, which is we're real people. He's like, man, these people are preachifying and speechifying all the dang on time. What they talking about?
Right.
And listen, I've been there for sure. I haven't always done the right thing with my money. I had to process those emotions. As a matter of fact, I carry an envelope right here. I practice what I preach, and it's an envelope full of stories reminding myself what I felt like at points in my life, to where there was that disconnect in my money, where my life and my money were going like this. My life was out of sorts. My money was out of sorts. That didn't feel good.
Wow.
That didn't feel good. And anytime that I need a reminder, I go ahead and go to the tape, as they say. I go to the tape. I go to the tape. So yes, I've been there. So these are the things of help and encouragement, not chastisement and judgment. There's a whole different stuff. But it's about inspiration.
Good deal. And just for point of clarity, because I'm sure somebody's going to ask this question, when we're talking about setting up the Roth IRA for the child, is it in my name or it's in the name of the child?
It's the name of the child.
Okay, so the Roth would correspond to their age of 59 and a half and not mine.
Correct.
Okay, I just had to, because I know somebody was going to ask me that. What point of wisdom would you say that you didn't know back then that you know now that you think would be important for somebody who really wants to live a financially free life? Because now the one thing you just said was when your life was good, your money was good, and I really like that. But give me some overarching for the person who, okay, they know they messed up, because we all been here. I know I messed up. I know I'm in a position where I need to get my shit on track. What is the first? What's the first step to, and not even taking money or anything else in? I mean, their salary, not even taking that into account, but they really like they're in the mirror looking like, I need to get my shit together. What's the first step?
The first step. I mean, hey, look, hey, let me tell you. I never tell you that. She was like, man, what do we pay this dude for? He just doing a whole bunch of cliches around here. No. I do it for myself. Sometimes, I was it's period eating 4,000 or 5,000 calories a day. And the first step necessarily wasn't getting down to 1,800 calories to lose weight. It was simply just eating portions right that day.
Mm-hmm.
Taking that first step, say, I'm going to do this thing. All right. Taking that first step. But I would say, do a little investigation on what you would like to do. I'd like to not spend so much. Okay. Well, how about I go ahead and open up a savings account that I can't access via a ATM card? Okay. How about I open up an online savings account? When I get my check, have it broken up to where it automatically sends money over there. And yeah, I can log online and transfer money if I like, and this, that, and the other. But I don't have a card to access that. It's bifurcated and sitting somewhere else, so it'll help me do something different.
Mm-hmm.
It's about change. It's about progress, right? And we got to get these small wins. So pick something that you can accomplish in the first 30 days. Do something this week. A couple $100. Do something that is measurable. That says, okay, I did this. What's next for me, right? Opening up that IRA for the child. Go ahead and do that thing, right? Go ahead and walk down to the business office or online and register that business. Okay, do something. Get a small win. Have it measurable. Okay, have it attainable. It's that smart, those smart goals, right? Right? Those
Yes,
smart
sir.
goals. Have it measurable. Small wins build up to and compound to bigger wins. So my point is about that. You asked for what I can meet. I can't give you one about the savings account thing, but you want to go travel. Travel's about to open up. Okay. Well, how do I want to fund that? Okay, that's something else that somebody could do if somebody's doing fairly well with themselves or whatnot. Okay, pre-fund that travel, right? So it's separate, and then all your other goals are being funded simultaneously, right? Write a measurable goal down, and then go about taking a small step so it can compound to larger steps. This changes behavior. All right. So I'm happy to say I'm not eating 4,000 or 5,000 calories right now. Right. So I found substitutes for my chip thing. I'll be on the bag of chips. So I know I can't eat chips. I know that's it. I'm a grown ass man. I can't have chips or I can't nowhere. All right. So what I do is to substitute, right? I have some saltines. I have 2 or 3 saltines. I don't want no more of them.
Right.
But I'm trying to change my behavior. So I don't have the chips in the cupboard, and then 2, when I do want some salt, I eat some dry ass saltines. I don't want too many of them. I'm Gucci, right?
Yes, sir.
So making those small changes compound to bigger things, and that's going to help me in the long run. I gave a little exercise. I mean, a health thing. Health is wealth, though. But same thing with finances. Find that thing, and you're like, oh, okay, I can do this thing, and then go on from there.
Love it. I love it. Now we've talked a lot of general stuff, and everybody, that's Dr. Cherry's website right there. So make sure you go check it out. He has a lot of information on there. He even for a person that would potentially be a good fit, he may be someone you can work with. I want to know now. We talked a lot of general stuff. I want to get specific now. When someone comes to you, they've seen you talk, they like what you talk about, they love your theories, and they love your execution, they love everything about you, and potentially want to come work with you, how would they seek you out?
Oh, appreciate that. So the website is really intentional in its functionality. Actually, it was just rebranded. Not necessarily we have the same name and same logo, but it was redone. It's fresh, very visitor friendly. So I encourage you to go back there. It's supposed to say you're supposed to find yourself on the website. Go there. It's supposed to click with what you're going through wherever you are, and say, okay, yeah, this is me. I'd like to advance my life money balance journey. We've been talking about that. I like for my money and my life to run concurrently. All right. I would like to enter in a process that will help me get there. And yeah, these are I wouldn't say, those are not generalities, by the way. That's part of the process. We can get into all the complex stuff, exercising options, stock options,
Futures and all that good stuff.
Restricted stock units, right, and this and that. We can get into real estate purchases and flipping and this, that, and the other. We can get into investing in this and this, that, and the other. Okay, yes, we can get into formulating charitable trusts and all. Okay, yes, we can get all that. We can get there. He's like, does he know that? Yeah, we can get there. But we got to do all that. We can get all this other stuff done, right? Donor advised funds. That's a whole nother topic. You can start those for church. You can get that, right, from one of those and get some tax deductions. But yeah, we can do all that. All right, but there's a process for that. So yeah, visit the website. We're supposed to, you're supposed to get there and engage. We need, and not engage with me. I mean, that you find any good fit. All right, but it's about engaging with your own financial journey. That's what it's supposed to do, and that's what I want people to do when they visit the site and say, okay, yes, this is me. I want to take the next step. Then they can click on the complimentary consulting button. That's 30 minutes for free. It's going to take them into a portal as a questionnaire to just see where you're at, take your temperature, right? So I can get more information. That way, when we do talk, we can see if we're a good fit for one another. And then that's when the process begins. I mean, that's free. There's no commitment at that particular point. And then it's either, okay, I can send you to a resource that can be a better fit to you, maybe another firm, maybe another a foundation or something that can start with your financial literacy. All right, or it's a good fit both ways, and we can start the process. But yeah, and if you don't want to start that day with me or anyone else, okay, it's fine. Investigate. Subscribe to the blog. There's going to be more information coming out of the blog. That's great. So subscribe to the blog, and maybe something resonates with you a couple of months from now, right? So that's easy to do, right? So these are things that if something resonates with you, then you say, okay, well, let's talk.
Awesome. I like to hear that. And ladies and gentlemen, we're winding down right now. We're at the top of the hour right now. It's like we can do this for another 2 or 3 hours easily, but like he has stuff to do, I have stuff to do. And hey, we may be able to get him to come back on and do a part 2, because I know there's a lot more stuff I want to dig into, and I'm sure there's a lot more stuff that he could teach us as well. But I can't wait to see the show notes on this, because there are a lot of nuggets, and for a lot of people who aren't as financially I don't want to say literate, but there's a lot of stuff that he said that can be unpacked and be expounded upon like tremendously. So I want you to watch this and rewatch this. Like I said, we'll probably get him to come back on again, because there were a lot of good tips. But we also want you to understand, yes, we talked about the stimulus. Yes, we talked about the right now. But one of the most important things is, in this financial game, it's about time. It's not about time in the market. It's about time in the market. That's one of those old financial cliches, but we all subscribe to it because it's true. You got to play the long game. So many of us get involved in the short game and look around and get mad at everybody else because we lost or we're down, when you didn't play the game according to the rules. You just didn't do it. One of the biggest things he said that I derived was discipline. Discipline has got to be the marquee of your entire financial plan, not just for you and your family. So with that being said, Doc, we're going to wind down. But if you have any parting words, any last words of wisdom you want to impart upon anyone who really wants to get jump started right now, who really has listened to everything that you said, that I said, and they know it's time. I know you said the first step is the first step, but give us a little. I'm gonna pull a little something extra. Give us a little something extra. I need, put some salsa on the chips.
Well, I think Mike said it best. On the bet, you're gonna make a change. Yeah, right there. That's that man and that person in the mirror, right? Rasheed Wallace once says, "Ball don't lie," right?
Thanks.
I'm writing a book right now called Statements, and it's about bank statements. Statements don't lie. All right, all right, and that mirror surely doesn't lie. All right, so let's get in there. It tells you the truth, and I've been in that mirror myself with some positive days, but there's been some dark days too. But they told the truth on both days.
That's a fact.
So get in there and go ahead and make that change, and go ahead and engage with your money, engage with that life money balance, engage with yourself.
Absolutely. And he's basically saying, look, in order to play the game, you got to get in the game. You can't win the game sitting in the stands cheering for somebody else or saying what somebody else doesn't do or what they don't know. We got so many spectators in this thing called life, but it's time for you to get in the game. Look, Dr. Cherry, we appreciate your time and joining us on the Bigger Than Money podcast. It's been, as Les Brown said, a plum-pleasing pleasure. It's a pleasure to know you as a professional and, more importantly, as a friend, my brother. So I thank you for coming on.
Yes.